I'm going to show you guys a couple of my favorite Fanduel lineups this week for week 5 in the NFL. We'll go through a few players. I'll probably do, I think, 2 different lineups that I'll show you here, but I'm going to create them here. We'll start with the quarterback position. Now, this week I do like Aaron Rodgers a lot. I normally don't like paying up for the top quarterback, but I think Aaron Rodgers does have a real high ceiling this week, so I do think I will be trying to make quite a few lines with Aaron Rodgers in them. But for this first lineup that I'm going to show you, we're going to scroll down to Deshaun Watson. He's $2,000 less than Rodgers, but if we take a look at him here, playing against Kansas City, so far this year, they've got a pretty weak passing defense, so that's a good matchup for him here. If you look at his history, started off pretty slow, but he's been getting better and better every week. So I do like Watson this week at quarterback, so I'm going to put him in on this first lineup here. Into running back, I love Bell this week. Again, he's the most expensive, so obviously he's probably going to be pretty good this week. But I really like this matchup against the Jaguars. Real strong against the pass, but weak against the rush. So I think Pittsburgh might be having to run the ball more often than even normal this week. So I think we could even see him beat last week's numbers here. So I'm going to throw Bell in on this lineup. Before we look at others, I love Gurley this week too. I think he would be a good bet. I'm not sure if there will be very many lineups where I can fit Bell and Gurley in. So for now, I'm just going to leave that other spot open, and we're going to go to the receiver spot here. With Watson, if we wanted to do a stack, Hopkins would be the obvious choice here. So I think I'm going to throw him in there. Since I like Rodgers so much, I think Nelson's a good bet. So we've got 2 really good receiver options there. We'll leave the third spot open, and we'll go to tight end. Tight end this week, there's a few good options. Well, actually, there's not too many good options this week, but there are a couple. ASJ is, I think, a really good option against Cleveland there. I do usually like to play a tight end against the Giants. So this week we'd have 2 choices here. The Chargers have been kind of splitting their tight end workload pretty evenly. So we could go Hunter Henry, or we could go down to Gates if we wanted to save some money here. I think since we paid up for some receivers and for Bell, I think we should choose Gates on this one just to save some money. Again, kicker, kicker's real hard to pick every week. That's one thing that I like DraftKings better for, is you don't have to deal with picking a kicker. We'll just scroll to the bottom here. Anybody could go off. I like Gould this week against the Colts. Should have a lot of chances to kick. That's basically the only way you can choose a kicker is basically what team you think might allow the most points. So we'll just throw in San Francisco's kicker against the Colts. At defense this week, I really like the Lions. I also think the Ravens have a good shot against Oakland with Carr being out this week. But I think for this one, we're going to go with the Lions. Probably the top defense this year. And I think they've got a good chance of shutting down Carolina pretty good here. Getting a few interceptions is a good bet here. So we'll go with that. So that leaves us $64.50 average per player to fill our last running back and wide receiver spots. Let's go back to running back here. We won't be able to fit Gurley in. So I think if we scroll down a bit here, I think I like Lynch this week. Again, Ravens weak against the rush. But with Carr being out this week, I think they'll have to run the ball more than normal. So I think Lynch has a good chance of getting a lot of carries. So we'll throw him in. So that leaves us 6,800 to fill our last spot here at receiver. This, out of the options we see coming up here, I like Fitzgerald the best. I think he's a good option here to get a lot of action here. So I like this lineup. We've got $100 remaining, but I don't think we need to change anybody. That's probably my favorite lineup of the week. I think that one's going to do really well. So we're going to enter that. And then we'll go back in and I'll show you guys one more that I like. Maybe not quite as much, but just to see some other options here. If we do put Rodgers in at quarterback on this lineup, we're paying a little extra, so we're going to have to cut some costs in some other spots here. But before we do that, let's jump over to tight end. We'll see if we can fit ASJ in this lineup here. I do really like him against Cleveland. Kicker, let's see on this one. We'll do the Jets kicker against Cleveland also. I think there's a good chance for some points there. And on this one, we'll throw in my other defense I like here. We'll put in Baltimore there. So if we go back to running back, we won't be able to put Bell in here since we paid up for Rodgers. But I do think I want to get Gurley in this lineup here. To put a stack in, a receiver in with Aaron Rodgers, I don't know that we can afford Nelson. We had him in the last lineup there. I think that we're going to go down to Cobb on this one here. Save a little money, but I think he should still be really good. If Rodgers can do a lot this week, then I think Cobb should be able to get a lot. Let's see, save a little bit of money here. I do like the option. I'm just going to go down to Fuller. Only 5,700. He's quite cheap, but he could get. I mean, he did. If you look at his, he played last week and did amazing. He got about 18 points for us here. Could do similar again this time. If we're not going to be using Hopkins, we'll just put Fuller in to fill this spot. So we got 7,900 and 2 spots left. So we're doing pretty good here. The last running back spot here, I like Hunt. A little cheaper than Bell, but I think we can afford him with the way the numbers are looking here. Real consistent. I mean, he dropped down a bit last week, but I think that was just a blip. I think he should be able to get back up into the 20s at least again. So we'll throw him back in there. 6,800. In this spot here, I mean, we could throw Fitzgerald in again, but since we used him last time on the other lineup, I just want to show you another option at this exact same price. We could go with Garcon. Again, a good matchup with the Colts. Might be able to get a good amount of points here. So we'll throw him in. Again, we're saving $100. Totally different lineup than last time, but I think that's still a good one. So we'll lock that in. And that's my 2 lineups for the week. Leave a comment below if you have any other good ideas for guys to throw in lineups. Thanks a lot.